On this week's show, college bowl games are feeling the effects of COVID, and the NCAA says a team can win the national championship by forfeit.
In this week's history lesson, we take a look back at 2021 and talk about what we did this past year as football fans.
I don't know what people are going to learn from that and much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 229 for December 28th, 2021, our last podcast of 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
It's really coming down out there.
Yeah, it is now.
It's starting to look like a white Christmas after Christmas.
Yeah,
because we didn't have a white Christmas this year.
Yeah, there was nothing on the ground earlier, and it just, in the last 15, 20 minutes?
I'd say an hour or so.
Yeah, but it's really sticking to the ground now, so. Yeah, winter's arrived in Michigan, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We come to you each week from the snowy World of Football man cave located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with a glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show as well as other selected videos. So, let's review what happened this past week, and we begin with the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. It was Week 16 in the NFL this past week. Lots of teams got eliminated. Lots of teams clinching playoff spots. We got 2 weeks left, people, and it's getting real. Starting with the Thursday night game that saw the Tennessee Titans able to pull out a win against the San Francisco 49ers 20-17. It was Robbie Bullock who got the go-ahead 44-yard field goal with 4 seconds remaining to give the Titans the win over the 49ers. I mean, San Fran controlled like all the first half. Tennessee couldn't do nothing. And then second half, totally different story. Tennessee came roaring back. That defense stepped up. They looked great.
Yep.
And might have put a damper on the 49ers playoff chances.
Yeah, it could be.
Not that they aren't eliminated yet, but I mean, I thought the 49ers were a dark horse going forward, and I thought the Titans were on the downslide, but it was the Titans that came out victorious. All right, then we had 2 Christmas games on Saturday. During the first game, we saw Baker Mayfield gift the Green Bay Packers a victory, but with the Packers winning 24-22. Aaron Rodgers surpassed Hall of Famer Brett Favre for most passing touchdowns in Green Bay Packer history with 400. Favre had 442, and I believe, I think Rodgers got to 445, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not positive. I know he broke the record.
Yeah, I know, and then Favre sent a video message and all that. They played at the stadium. Good for them. But Baker Mayfield, I mean, boy, oh boy, 4 interceptions during the game. He gave away to Green Bay. Yeah. He just did not look great. I mean, this game looked closer. The score is closer than this game felt for the most part. I mean, Cleveland was able to claw back there kind of at the end, but Green Bay is still the best team probably in the NFC.
You don't vote against Green Bay at home. I don't care what time of the year. I don't care who they're playing. You don't count them out at home.
You mean like when Tampa Bay beat them in Green Bay for the NFC Championship last year?
Well, this isn't the playoffs. But playoffs are a different story, but during the regular season, nobody beats Green Bay in Green Bay.
And it is a tough place to go do that, and now all eyes on Baker Mayfield, and will he return now to Cleveland next year? I think a lot of Browns fans and the organization's got to be asking that question.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean, he started out so promising, and he's kind of slipped this year. You know, is that going to affect his future in Cleveland? Right. I don't know if it should or not.
I think we see the potential, but man, a lot of these mistakes and just I don't want to fall into the media scrutiny of just blaming him. I mean, it's a team game,
right?
But it doesn't help when your quarterback's got 4 interceptions. So.
Yeah. Less commercials, Baker, and more time in the weight room.
Oh, let's not go there, but we will go down to Arizona, which saw the Cardinals fall to the Colts 22-16. Indianapolis has now won 9 of their last 12 games after starting the season 0-3. And then the Cardinals have dropped their last 3 games after having the best record in the NFC. The Cardinals are kind of falling apart. Despite the loss, though, we'll get to their playoff fate in a little bit, but not out of it. But the Colts climbing back into the race with the victory, and they could still clinch that NFC South or AFC South.
The Cardinals are not the same since they got beat up by Detroit.
That was just last week. They haven't been. The Cardinals haven't been the same in a few weeks. Losing DeAndre Hopkins to injury doesn't help. They've lost to the Rams, they've lost to the Lions, and now they lost to the Colts. 2 of the 3 are one for sure was a playoff team. One is going to be picking at the top of the draft order next year, and the other one is a playoff hopeful.
Two teams you could maybe make an excuse for losing to them, but not Detroit. Sorry.
Okay, we're still going to hang our hat on that one, huh? All right, the Philadelphia Eagles stomped all over the New York Giants 34-10. Philadelphia has now won 13 of their last 16 games against the Giants. And how about the Eagles kind of quietly getting back into the playoff discussion with an 8-7 record?
Yeah.
Then we're going to move on. The Detroit Lions fell to the Atlanta Falcons 20-16. This is Atlanta's first win in the city of Atlanta this season. They were previously 0-5. Their one victory that was quote-unquote a home game was in London. So...
yeah, well, that's what it takes. You got a bad losing streak going on at home or whatever, bring in Detroit, and that'll fix everything. Detroit should have won that game, though.
They had a chance there at the end, but I think, and I feel weird saying this, had Jared Goff been the quarterback, could have been a slightly different story. Goff, of course, was out with COVID this past week. He's been recently activated from the COVID list.
Yep.
But, hey, it was a close game. It came down to the end again, as it usually does between the Lions and Falcons for some reason.
Yep.
So... 20-16.
Detroit was there at the end. They had a chance to win. They had the ball in their hands. What more can you ask for?
That's true.
It
just
didn't happen.
It just didn't work out this week. But I still think the Lions put up some good stuff. There's a lot of promise coming out of that team, and I know we talk about it all the time as Lions fans. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been a growing fan favorite now the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. He was interviewed by Doug Flutie on the Flutie Flakes podcast.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting. I listened to that yesterday. But
okay, well, that's it. We're done with our Lion talk this week, apparently. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Minnesota Vikings 30-23, a game that was closer than I think it should have been. But how about this on the Vikings side? Despite losing, Justin Jefferson has passed Odell Beckham Jr. for the most receiving yards in his first 2 seasons in NFL history. Quite the accomplishment. I think Odell's a heck of a receiver, and it's funny that Odell is on the opposite sideline watching Justin Jefferson break that record, but Odell came out with the victory. And with that, the Rams have clinched the playoff spot for sure. And I think even by them winning and beating the Vikings, it's somehow, I'm not sure how all the math worked out, but that helped the Arizona Cardinals also clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, somehow.
So despite Arizona losing, as we were talking about earlier, that helped them clinch a playoff spot. The Buffalo Bills went into New England and beat the Patriots 33-21. Josh Allen, quarterback for the Bills, has become the first player in NFL history with 100-plus passing touchdowns and 20 rushing touchdowns in their first 4 seasons. Josh Allen, a quarterback, I'll admit I didn't have any expectations for coming out of college and coming into the NFL. Dude's a top-tier quarterback right now.
Yeah. Playing well.
Speaking of top-tier quarterbacks, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers got back to their winning ways, defeating the Panthers 32-6. With that victory, they clinched the NFC South and a playoff berth. This will be their first division title in Tampa Bay since 2007, which surprised me. Despite winning the Super Bowl last year, they were not division champs. The New York Jets defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 26-21 to get their 4th win of the season. Zach Wilson had an impressive 52-yard rushing touchdown, which is the longest run by a quarterback in New York Jets history, which surprised me because I remember last year seeing Sam Darnold with the Jets have a really long touchdown run for a touchdown on a Thursday night game. That must have been like 40, I think it was like maybe 48 yards or something. So a few yards longer than the previous Jets record.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans shocked the Los Angeles Chargers 41-29. Houston has now won 3 of their last 4 against the Chargers, and that puts a damper on the Chargers' playoff hopes. Not eliminated yet, but at 8-7, it's getting pretty crowded there in the AFC. The Cincinnati Bengals made a claim to try to snag that AFC North crown by defeating the Ravens 41-21 behind an impressive effort by quarterback Joe Burrow, who threw the 4th most passing yards in a game since 1950. 525 yards passing for Mr. Joe Burrow. And if you had him on your fantasy team, congratulations, unless you're somebody who had him and lost, which happened in our league. It didn't help them win.
Yeah, didn't he? Yeah, he broke a Boomer Esiason's record.
Bengals record.
Yeah, and Boomer Esiason was on the
broadcast.
Well, not that broadcast, but I mean the
pregame
national pregame show. Yeah, so they came on at halftime, and afterwards they were talking to him, and they're like. Yeah, he was mentioning how he set a record, and then somebody else had to say, "Oh, didn't he break your record?" Yes, he did. So that was pretty good.
Yeah. If you're a Bears fan, you have to be happy because you got a 25-24 win in Seattle, in snowy Seattle is how it looks outside right now. But Seattle, double-digit losses for the first time in the Pete Carroll era, and I thought they were eliminated last week. Well, they were officially eliminated this week with that loss, and the Bears also were eliminated from the playoff contention. I can't remember if they were eliminated last week or this week, but the Bears also out of the playoff hunt. Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 36-10. The Chiefs clinched the AFC West for the 6th straight season. Man, I didn't think they were going to get this far after the way they were starting their season. But
they had a big slump there in the middle of the season.
But the Chiefs are looking hot, and they look like they could get back to the Super Bowl and not have missed a step. But if you're a Steelers fan, what the heck is your team doing? You had a player down 30 points, sitting there gawking to fans. I think he batted away a pass in the end zone, and was starting to taunt and act like he was hot stuff. It's like, you're down by 30, dude. What are you doing, flaunting and doing that? I can't. I'm all for players celebrating, but awareness would help. I'm tired of seeing these players. Or if your defense is down by 30 points, I don't want to see a whole defense running down and crowding up in the end zone.
Yeah, mugging it up for that end zone camera. Oh, look how great we are. Yeah,
you're still down by 30. But not that that's what this guy did. This guy was just posturing. I wasn't a fan of it. Pittsburgh, you need to sort yourselves out. The Las Vegas Raiders sorted themselves out by getting a win over Denver 17-13. Las Vegas has now won 4 straight games against the Broncos. And then on Sunday Night Football, boy, oh boy, if you watch this, I apologize. I guess if you're a Cowboys fan, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys decimated the Washington football team 56-14. Dallas had the most points in a game for themselves since Week 6 of 1980, winning 56-14. And if you're Washington, things fell apart rather quickly in this one.
Yeah, I fully expected Dallas to win this game, but not by such a big margin. I thought Washington would take them right to the end.
I thought,
it was going to be a close game, but it turned out it wasn't that way at all.
Yeah, and with that, I don't think Dallas has clinched the East, but they definitely clinched the playoff spot with the win.
Yeah, cleaning up the playoff spot.
So actually, they didn't even need that. I think with the Cardinals losing, that helped Dallas.
Yeah, they had clinched their spot before that game was played.
Yeah, that's true. That's what happened. Yeah, so the Cardinals loss gave the Cowboys the clinching spot. They're still waiting on getting that division title. So we'll see what happens this week. And then finally, last night on Monday Night Football, the Miami Dolphins defeated the New Orleans Saints 20-3. Miami has now won 7 straight games after losing 7 straight games. The first time in NFL history a team has both had a 7-game winning streak and a 7-game losing streak in the same season.
Yeah, I don't know who they played the last 2 weeks of the season. But
they go to Tennessee. They play Tennessee and New England the last 2 weeks of the season. Well, they're going to be 2 tough games.
If they were to win those 2 games, they'd be 10-6 or 10-7. 10-7. Yeah, it's just incredible the way they started out 1-7 this year.
I mean, it's been a great story. I'm pulling for them to make it to the playoffs, but the odds are still stacked against them. Those 2 games are going to be tough against a Tennessee Titans team trying to make the playoffs and a New England Patriots team trying to make the playoffs. So these are going to be 3 playoff-esque games. The Dolphins are 2 playoff-esque games. The Dolphins are going to be involved in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see if they can keep that streak alive. I'm pulling for them.
Yeah,
I really am. Yeah. But, I mean, the odds, I don't think a team has ever started, that bad and made it to the playoffs. Yeah. So that's a tough thing to come back from. But, I mean, they're getting close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, according to my recollections, the Rams have clinched a playoff spot, as well as the Cardinals, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys. The Packers have clinched the NFC North division. And the only other team that's clinched, the only one team on the AFC side, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs, who have clinched the AFC West. So most of the NFC playoff spots are spoken for. AFC is still kind of wide open with a lot of teams yet to clinch a spot.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy couple of weeks, but this is the exciting time in the NFL right now. So, so that's it for the NFL scoreboard, and with that, I guess we throw it over to you for some college bowl games.
Well, did you want to talk about the poll from last week?
I mean, we could. I mean, if you've been following us last week down the show, we talked about Randy just quickly throwing out this question, and I made it a poll, and the results are in. Well, technically, you still got a day, but as of right now, 54% of people voted in our poll. The question being, which would you rather have, an NFL game every day or an NFL team in London? And 54%. Picking an NFL game every day, so it was pretty close.
A lot closer than I thought it would be, because I'm dead set against a team going to London, and that's why I just threw that out there. Because you said something about, man, we've had NFL games on Tuesdays and Mondays and Saturdays and Sundays and Thursdays, and you said, man, we're just about gonna have a game every day of the week, and I just threw out there, I'd rather have that than a team in London. Yeah. And I don't get the fact that the NFL is seriously considering putting a team in London, England.
It's all about that foreign market.
I
mean, putting a game over there is one thing, but to have London invest in a team and an entity would be a total different game changer for them. Hey, if they ever got to the point where, and I don't know, I guess travel and all that, especially right now with the way COVID is, makes it really hard.
Yeah.
But I could see a European division. I could see a international division maybe if they ever were to expand. I don't know how big they could make that.
Yeah, you would need more than one team.
Yeah, you would need 4 teams to make an even division. But even then, that throws off the conferences. And,
right.
Unless it was like a division that rotated between conferences, like they're rotating these home and playoff, home and road games for NFC, AFC teams with the 17-game schedule. Just throwing it out there. It's probably really hard to do, and all those logistics are up to smarter people who make way more money than we make on this podcast.
The whole time zone thing and the distance.
You tell me you wouldn't get up at 9 o'clock every Sunday to watch a game from London?
Oh, sure. I would like.
Or if you're,
if I didn't have to go anywhere, just wake
or
up.
Or when our beloved London Lions get moved out there, and we have to get up at 9 in the morning just to watch them play.
Hush your mouth.
And eat our tea and crumpets.
All right, let's move on to some bowl games that we had this week. Let's see. The 22nd was the Armed Forces Bowl. Army over Missouri, 24-22. Army secured the win with a last-second field goal. On the 23rd, it was the Frisco Football Classic. Now, this was the bowl game that they had to make up at the last minute because one team that was eligible would not have been able to play in a bowl game, so they threw together this Frisco Football Classic, and it was Miami of Ohio over North Texas, 27-24. I think both of those
27-14 is what you wrote down.
27-14. I think both of these teams were 6-6 going into that game. Strange, very strange that they had to make a whole bowl game for a couple of 6-6 teams. Let's see, the Gasparilla Bowl, also on the 23rd, it was UCF over Florida, 29-14. And then on December 24th, Christmas Eve, it was the Hawaii Bowl, Memphis versus Hawaii. That game was canceled.
I was going to say, I don't remember a game on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. I wrote it at the end, so I didn't read that right myself. But yeah, that game got canceled, so there was no Christmas Eve game. Memphis was already in town, so they basically got a free, trip to Hawaii, and their fans probably were in Hawaii. Didn't actually play a game, but at least they got to Hawaii for a little while. Let's see. December 25th, the Camilla Bowl.
A.K.A. Christmas Day.
Yeah. Georgia State over Ball State, 51-20. There were that was Saturday. And then on Sunday, NFL Sunday, they didn't have any games. But yesterday, December 27th, the Quick Lanes Bowl in Detroit. Our Western Michigan Broncos improved to 8-5 on the season by beating up on the Nevada Wolfpack 52-24. This was the second ever bowl win for the Broncos. A few years ago, they won the
Bahamas Bowl?
Bahamas Bowl, yes. Yeah, they've been in several bowl games. We went to go see them play in the Cotton Bowl. They played well, but came up a little bit short. So yeah, this was only the second time they've ever won a bowl game. So congratulations to them. That Nevada quarterback, I forget his first name. His last name was Cox. 6'9". They said he's the tallest quarterback ever in college football. He looked like a man among little kids out there on the field. He would run sometimes. Yeah, just huge guy heading down the field, but he played okay. He's kind of a backup quarterback, so I haven't followed Nevada all year long, so I don't know. much about him.
Oh, man, Randy's getting choked up over here crying about Western winning a crappy bowl game that nobody really cares about.
Hey, it's important to us. It's important to the school. It's a great bowl game. Okay, and then also yesterday was the Military Bowl, but that got canceled. That was going to feature East Carolina and Boston College. So a couple of bowl games got canceled. We're going to talk about some more here in a little bit. But on the docket today, the Birmingham Bowl is supposed to be played, Houston versus Auburn. The First Responders Bowl is today, Air Force at Louisville. That's the game I want to watch. Liberty Bowl is supposed to be Mississippi State at Texas Tech. The Holiday Bowl today, UCLA and NC State. And the greatest bowl game of them all, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, West Virginia versus Minnesota.
Yep, and that Birmingham Bowl is in the fourth quarter currently. Houston is down 13-10 to Auburn with 9 minutes left to go in this game. So,
okay, yeah, 5 bowl games today, man. That's a lot. But hey, this is the week between Christmas and New Year's. We get all the bowls here this week, and that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard.
Yeah, we're just flying through it on this holiday edition of the show. I mean, shoot, Randy's getting all choked up already, even though he's barely talked at all this episode. I'm surprised. So,
yeah.
But
I got some hot and now burgers sitting right here.
Yeah, okay. But then news is very light too, so it looks like we're going to be flying through the rest of this show.
Yeah. You'd mentioned in NFL news that Carson Wentz went on the COVID protocol.
Oh, yeah, so our first news. Yeah, this just happened a little bit ago. Carson Wentz has gone on COVID protocol.
There's just too many of these things to keep up on.
It's a big deal right now, despite the CDC changing their rules for some reason, which...
Well, from 10 days of quarantine to 5, I guess they figured, if you've got no symptoms, you're not exhibiting any symptoms, but you test positive.
But if I were listening to, some CEO from an airlines who begged the CDC to make this change, I don't know if this is the smartest decision or not. We'll see. I am not a doctor. We are not doctors.
No.
But anyway, COVID-19 is a real thing still. Carson Wentz on that list, but it feels like there's 20 players every day you find out or get put on this list. And for the Colts, the big impact here would be they are playing for their playoff lives, as we were mentioning earlier. They got 2 tough games coming up. And to rely on a backup quarterback, is not the ideal situation they have going into these next couple of games, or at least this next game. So this is big.
This is going to test the depth of a lot of these NFL and college teams.
Yeah.
Of course, the college teams, they're getting hit with COVID, and they've also got players that don't want to participate in the bowl game because they are going on to the NFL or they want to get ready for that, and kids just opting out or whatever. So
right. Well,
it's affecting a lot of that.
Well, speaking of COVID affecting games, I mean, you got the first story in our college news right there.
Yeah, the NCAA came out last week and said that a team can win the national championship if the other team forfeits. And I think all they're doing there is they're just saying we're not going to reschedule any of these games.
Especially,
if you pull out of a game because of COVID or for whatever reason, that game becomes a forfeit and the other team moves on. And if it happens to be the national championship game, they're not going to reschedule a game. They're just going to say, well, you can't participate. Then by forfeit, the other team is our national champion for this year. So it's kind of weird because the national champion could be decided by 2 forfeits. It's just weird to think of that. So, but yeah, that came out last week, and it didn't really surprise me. At this late date, it's going to be hard to trying to reschedule another team to come in that's maybe played in a bowl game or hasn't played in weeks. So it'd just be a logistical nightmare. So it makes sense, but it just surprised me that they actually came out and said that a forfeit could determine the national championship. All right, Rutgers is going to replace Texas A&M in the Gator Bowl, and they're going to be taking on Wake Forest on December 31st. A&M backed out of the game due to COVID, a COVID outbreak on the team, players opting out of the game, and injuries. A&M had only 38 players available for the game, including just 13 players on defense. So I could see why they backed out of it. This is going to be the first bowl game for Rutgers since 2014. So, yeah, Rutgers was ready to step in and take on a bowl game.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they hadn't been practicing or anything. Their season was basically done. They had no bowl game going on or anything. So, good for them. We'll see how they fare.
Yep. Good Lord, take some more water. God, I'm getting tired of you just...
I did.
And you've barely done any talking today, and now all of a sudden, you're getting choked up over there crying for Rutgers. It's getting irritating.
It's an emotional
What'd you do,
day
go
today.
see Spider-Man again and start crying?
No, that was you.
Well, it got emotional.
And in the other big college bowl news, the Arizona Bowl in Tucson, which was going to be played on December 31st, is canceled when Boise State pulled out of the game due to COVID. Central Michigan was supposed to be the opponent, but they have jumped bowl games. They're now going to play in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas, on the same day, December 31st, against Washington State. Miami had dropped out of the Sun Bowl, and CMU would have made $175,000 had they played in the Arizona Bowl. But now that they're playing a team from a Power 5 conference in a bowl game, they could be making as much as $2.3 million for participation in that bowl game. Originally, somebody tweeted out that that's what they would make, but then they said, well, they may not make that much. But hey, if they come in and save this bowl game from being canceled, why wouldn't they get the entire share that other team would have gotten, even if they're not a Power 5 school? They're saving that bowl's bacon, and so what if they get beat up 55-0? The bowl game's still going to be played. The tickets are sold. I think they should get whatever that other team would have gotten for losing in that bowl game. So, congratulations to Central Michigan. I'm actually looking forward to watching that game and see how they do. So, they said that from Tucson to El Paso, it's like a 4-hour bus ride. So that's not too bad. I mean, they were already in Tucson getting ready for their game. Game gets canceled. Now we're just gonna, on the game day, we're just gonna get on a bus, go 4 hours, and play it over there. So good for Central Michigan. Right place, right time, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube. One of the games that they've posted recently is a 1996 game between the Orlando Predators playing at the Tampa Bay Storm. This rivalry was known as the War on I-4 for many years. Funny that Todd Christensen and Kirk Herbstreit were in the booth for that game, calling the game. And this was a rematch of Arena Bowl 9. So check out that game and many, many more. God, what do they have? Did we say some time ago they had like 500 games?
I forget the
posted
exact
on
number.
that?
They got a bunch.
I think it's around 500.
More than enough to keep you busy over the holiday week.
Yeah. So go check those out. Subscribe to them and watch some of these games. Like I've said before, if you remember the league, you're going to love watching these games and seeing these players that you remember. If you've never seen it before, you're in for a treat. So get educated on the Arena Football League.
Speaking of, real quick, I was almost going to suggest making this a story, but American Underdog did okay at the box office this last weekend. They made $5.9 million opening weekend. I think they were fifth in the top 5 in a big weekend where, Spider-Man's raking in all the money. Spider-Man made $1 billion. But it made $5.9 million over the holiday weekends, it looks like. I'm not sure how much of the budget was or how much they spent on marketing the movie. I don't know if this is a good or bad. They've only made 5.9. I didn't expect it to make like $30 million, but
good movie though.
At least people went out and saw it this weekend.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I think if you go to see it, you will like it. So
I think it got an A+ cinema score, if that means anything to anybody. That's usually a good indication for audience approval of a movie. So
okay. All right, we do have one obituary to talk about this week. This is where we take a moment and honor those who have made the world of football a better place. Our lone obituary this week is Joe Hernandez, who played wide receiver in the NFL and the CFL, has passed away from complications of COVID-19 at the age of 81. Hernandez played college football at the University of Arizona. He was selected in the second round of the 1962 NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins. He was also selected in the fifth round of the 1962 AFL Draft by the Oakland Raiders. However, he chose to sign with the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League. He played for the Argos in 1962. He went on to play for the CFL's Edmonton Eskimos in 1963. And he played one season in the NFL for the Washington Redskins in 1964. Hernandez then returned to Canada and finished his playing career in Edmonton from 1966 to 1970. Birthdays and anniversaries today. We have kicker Adam Vinatieri turns 49 years old today. He played his college football at South Dakota State and signed as a free agent with the New England Patriots in 1995. He played for the Patriots for 10 seasons from 1996 to 2005. And then he signed with the Indianapolis Colts and played there for another 14 seasons from 2006 to 2019. That's 24 NFL seasons. He won 4 Super Bowls, 3 with New England and 1 with Indianapolis. Not bad for a kicker out of South Dakota State.
Yeah.
All right, and anniversaries today. In 1958, on this date, the Baltimore Colts win the greatest game ever played over the New York Giants, 23-17 in overtime. That was the very first overtime game ever. It was on national TV. That they point to that game as saying that was the game that established the NFL as a good product for television, and quite a historic game that was. There was a 2018 book written about that whole team by the Professional Football Researchers Association, and I was happy to contribute a couple of chapters for that book. I did the profile on their center, Buzz Nutter, and I also did the chapter on the history of the Colts marching band. That was a very interesting story. So you can check that book out on McFarland Press, I believe, and on this date, the greatest game ever played. All right, this week's history lesson. We're doing something a little bit different this week for the history lesson. We're going to take a look back at the past year and talk about what we did as football fans this past year.
Not much.
Well, yeah, when it started out, COVID was really kicking everybody's butt, and but I took advantage of that, and my wife and I went down to Notre Dame, and I got to visit the graves of Leon Hart, who was the 1949 Heisman Trophy winner, and Coach Ara Parsegian at a cemetery on the grounds of Notre Dame University. And that was great because with COVID, we're in the cemetery walking around on a nice snowy January day, and nobody was around. So, yeah, we were social distancing quite a bit. But, Leon Hart was also drafted in the first round by the Detroit Lions. He won 3 national championships with Notre Dame, and he won 3 NFL titles with Detroit. So quite a story there. In April, I got to attend a gathering of the Western New York chapter of the Pro Football Researchers Association in Hamburg, New York. And that was really the first time that I had spent any amount of time, out of the house, away from home. I was really looking forward to it, and man, I had a great time driving all the way to New York State from Michigan through Cleveland, past Erie, Pennsylvania, and spent a couple nights there, and had a great time connecting with other PFRA members over there. And in June, we had our PFRA convention at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. I also got to visit the grave of Jack Trice in Hiram, Ohio. Jack Trice is who his name is on the stadium at Iowa State. So he was a player there and got killed as a result of injuries in a game. African American player, and it took many, many years, and the students kept fighting to get the stadium named after him, and eventually they did. So it was an honor to go visit his grave. Oh, let's see. In August, now we get to the things that you and I did together.
Yeah, stuff I finally got to do. We went to the Lions training camp.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yep.
You got to meet a couple of your PFRA buddies.
Yes, I did.
They were pretty nice. It was fun meeting them.
Yep, they're from Michigan. They weren't at the convention, or one guy was, but the other guy was not. But met with them. Had a good time. It was a nice warm day.
Yep.
Beautiful day to watch the Lions practice.
I'll remember that one meeting. I didn't meet any players, but we got to see some personalities, in the flesh. The new running back Jamal Williams, who's become a fan favorite, throwing footballs to the crowd. I'll remember that. It was a hot day again.
Yeah.
Gotta remember
no shade in those stands.
Gotta bring a big old sun hat in the future.
Yeah, they had some tents set up behind the stands that people
could
get out of the sun.
But you can't watch nothing.
But to sit in the stands and watch them, those temporary bleachers they had set up, there is no shade.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring a big old hat next year. I keep saying that. I'm gonna do that the next time we go to a practice there. But hey, it's fun. They had a lot of activities there for the kids. So not that we got to participate in any of it, but I'd do it again.
Yeah. They didn't do anything the year before because of COVID.
Right.
So we were glad that they opened it up this year, and had a good time. All right, in September, you and I went to a couple of college games.
Yep, I went to one college game and I went to one NFL game. You went to see Illinois State and Western.
Yep.
Our beloved Western Michigan Broncos, bowl champions, I guess we could say now. I don't know what thoughts you had from that game, but I went to the second game, which was Western and San Jose State, where Western blew the doors off of San Jose State, and that was a good day. It was nice weather in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being anything other than sun. We were in the sun all day again.
No, it was a great game. That first game against Illinois State, I went with a buddy of mine, and man, that was just perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect evening. It's super warm. The sun went down and the lights came out, and it was just still like 70, 80 degrees, and just gorgeous.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for anything better.
Anybody listening to this podcast, I'm sure you're a college football fan to some degree, whether you have your own team or whether you just like college football as a whole. Hey, if you ever want to come see a game, come to Kalamazoo. Great atmosphere Western puts on for being a smaller school compared to like your U of M's or your Michigan States, your big Power 5 schools. I think it's still a great atmosphere, especially early in the season when the team's just getting started off and it's on Saturdays. The student section's usually packed, fans usually flood the stands. It's
a great game day atmosphere.
It's a great game day atmosphere for a little old Kalamazoo.
Yep, you're not going to be shoulder to shoulder with 105 other fans. Like
just 200,000, 20,000 other fans.
It holds, I think, 33,000. But you're going to have 25,000 maybe at a game. It's really good.
Yeah.
Good atmosphere. The price is right. The parking is easy to get to, and take a shuttle bus to the stadium. It's no big deal. So.
Yep. And then the very next day, after you and I went and saw San Jose State and Western, I went to Detroit the next day and got to see the Detroit Lions lose on an NFL record 66-yard field goal to end the game.
I felt so bad for you and your brother.
That was something else. I mean, I couldn't even be mad at the end of the game. I was just in disbelief more than anything.
You will never forget that game.
I probably won't ever forget that game.
You were in that end zone when the ball was coming right straight at you.
The ball was coming right at us. I was a little off to the side, but I saw it doink off the bottom of the goalpost, and for a brief moment, I felt great. Brief moment. Then when you realize that the ball, after it doinked, was rolling back towards the stands and was in, that's when it like I said, the whole stadium just got sucked out of the room, and
that was as time expired. So
as time expired, it was crazy.
Just hang your head and start walking to the exit.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Gosh. Yeah, and that wouldn't be the last Lions game I'd watch a game-ending field goal on.
You went to 3 games.
I went to 3. Then the next month I went again. You came along this time. We went and saw the Cincinnati Bengals come to Detroit. That game was not close. No. The Bengals put on a clinic that day. Detroit just, for whatever reason, didn't show up. And they got the doors blown off them. You spent the whole fourth quarter in the gift shop, I believe.
They scored, 10 points in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, and you missed all of them.
I didn't see him score a single point. For 3 quarters, I sat there with my arms folded like, really? This is the effort you're putting out today? This is terrible. So in the fourth quarter, I went to the gift shop, and I missed all the scoring and came back just as the game was ending.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So
Awful time.
So then that was like the only football thing we had going on. Then the next month, November, you went down to see your nephew play, or great-nephew play high school football.
My brother's grandson is a field goal kicker for a high school team down in Bloomington, Indiana. And we went down there and we saw the game. They won, and he kicked a 41-yard field goal, which was a personal best for him. So it was an awesome experience. I'd never been down there to see a game, and so it was pretty cool watching him. He had some great kickoffs, and that 41-yard field goal was just something else. He could have gotten another 5 yards out of that one, because that was really good. But had a great time. And then the next day, as we were coming back, I told actually my brother said, "Are we going to be visiting any graves while we're down here?" And I said, as a matter of fact, yes, there is a grave here in Bloomington that I want to see. And so on our way out of town the next morning, we stopped by a cemetery, and I got to visit the grave of Beau Mcmillan, who was the Detroit Lions head coach and general manager from 1948 to 1950. In 1951, he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles for 2 games, and then he passed away. So kind of a tragic story there. But he was also the head coach at Indiana University for many years before he went to the NFL. But he was buried down there, and I got to visit his grave. So that was kind of cool. I only recently found out about him, like within the last year, that he was actually buried in Bloomington. And I thought, well, if I get down there to see my niece and her kids, or see a game or anything, I'm going to have to stop there. And this all worked out perfectly, that I was able to check out that grave. Let's see what else happened in November. Oh, I had lunch with several.
Oh, he had lunch, everybody.
PFRA members
Oh.
in Ann Arbor in a restaurant. It was kind of funny. It's been a while since I've been to some of these restaurants, and this particular restaurant in Ann Arbor, you had to order on your phone.
This is just going to show how behind the times you are, how unused to technology you
Oh,
are.
my God.
Despite, hey, Merry Christmas, you got an iPhone now.
Yes, I do now. But at the time, I had an Android phone, and in the restaurant, I had to download a QR code scanning app before I could order my dinner. me and one of the other guys did that. The other three guys all had iPhones, so they were able to, put their order in. So here, this other guy and I were sitting there struggling to find an app, figure out how to use it, scan this QR code at the table, put in our order, and then pay for it later. Oh my gosh, what an experience! But it was all worked out, and it was a good time. So those were some of the other members of the Michigan chapter of the PFRA that we're starting up. So that was fun. And then you and I went to the Thanksgiving Day game.
Yeah, we had a few
Chicago
of us.
versus Detroit. Yep, your mom actually went with us. That was her first game at Ford Field.
Yep.
So, yeah, we took the whole family except your younger brother who
except
stayed
for
home to watch the dog.
One sibling, yep.
Yep. And, what can I say? Another loss for Detroit.
Again, a last-second field goal.
Yep. And we were kind of in the corner of that end zone, too.
Sitting amongst Bears fans, most of which were pretty nice. I
Yep.
think the most obnoxious were probably some Lions fans, especially one in particular.
Yeah.
But hey, still a good, despite the loss, I think a Lions game day, is hard to beat just in terms of having a good time. But a win always helps. A loss is hit and miss.
Yeah.
But it was still a good day. We had some good food at the game.
Yep.
Halftime show was I thought a great national anthem. I'll
Yes.
remember the national anthem. But overall not bad, especially, and we always consider it a good experience when the parking to get in and to get out is not that bad. Usually it's a little more of a hassle to get it, and we gave you some flack for finding the parking spots, but nonetheless, we made it, we got there, and then we were able to get out with not an issue, and that always enhances the experience despite a win or a loss.
Yeah, and I was really nervous about getting into Detroit because I knew that we were going to have to cross Woodward Avenue, which is where the Thanksgiving Day parade in Detroit goes. Luckily, we took the road that went under there, and then we had to double back to where our parking ramp
garage,
was.
yeah.
But it worked out. It worked out great, and
Yes,
it was
it
so
did.
easy to get out of town too. I mean, that's always been a struggle. Depending on where you park, it could take you a long time to get out of your parking lot, get back to a road that'll get you back to I-94 to head.
But now
back
I think
to
now
Kalamazoo.
we've discovered the perfect parking garage. I mean,
Yes. That's going to be our go-to parking ramp
I think,
from now on.
we're gonna have to try to get that particular garage because I mean, in years past, we were trying to go through all these back streets and getting turned around, and it was always a pain in the butt.
Save 10 or $20 by parking 3 or 4 blocks away. No, I'm going to pay the extra now, and we're going to be right there.
Yep, I'm glad you're finally seeing the light because I agree. You pay for what you get, and I think for what this parking garage costs, and which I won't say how much, but it's not terrible. I mean, I'd have paid that in a heartbeat for.
But you had a barcode or a QR code on your phone,
you scan that.
and you just handed it to me, and I scanned it, and boom, we're in.
Yep.
So easy.
Easy. So
easy.
Yep. So that was a good experience. And then this last month, December, you got to go on a nice trip. We talked about it not that long ago. Your trip down to see the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta.
Yep.
So
it was pretty nice.
A lot of great pictures you posted on your social medias for people to go check out.
I still contend it was better when it was in South Bend, but it is what it is. It's very high-tech, very interactive. Young people will really like it. Like I said, I remember it in South Bend, and I just preferred it in South Bend. Much more, it wasn't as interactive, but I just thought it had a lot more atmosphere in that building.
Personality?
Yeah, personality, atmosphere, whatever. This is very cold and sterile, but it's very, very clean, very modern, very new. So it is what it is. But I'm glad I went to go see it because I've been wanting to go see that for some time. And then we got to go see the American Underdog movie a couple of weeks ago. Really good. And I just remembered that we also, this year, we saw 12 Mighty Orphans, that movie.
Did that earlier this year.
That was really good,
So
too.
a couple good football movies that came out. There's another one that's come out, which I haven't heard much about. I think it was called National Championship or National Champs or something. I forget what it was called. It was like a football movie. based around college football, but boy, I can't remember. I haven't seen much for it, but it kind of came and went, so we kind of missed that recently.
I don't even remember anything about that. But 12 Mighty Orphans, it was a decent movie, but definitely pick up the book. I still see it in the bookstores right now because the movie was out. The book is in the stores. Great book. Get the book, read it. Very interesting story. Let's see. Oh, well, yeah, I'm also, right now, I am currently working on another chapter for another PFRA book. This one is on the 1964 Buffalo Bills team, and I'm doing a profile of wide receiver Glenn Bass. And that book is due to come out in a couple of years. I have to have my first draft to the editor by February 1st, I believe.
Yep, and I got your documents here pulled up. It says 0 word count, so you better get on that, buddy.
What?
Yeah, 0 word count.
You better not be messing with my file. I would be upset. Okay. Well, that's it for our past year. Not as many things as we normally do in a year.
During a pandemic.
But yeah, COVID has messed up everything. We would have gone to Canada to see a game or two over there this year. But
you can bet your bottom dollar we'll get to Canada at some point.
I really hope we can get there next year. I really do. I want to go see a Argonauts game at BMO Field. So we shall see. Yep. We'll see what 2020 brings us.
2022 brings us. Don't say 2020. I don't want to live through that again.
Yeah, 2022. Sheesh.
Oh, God. 2020 part 2.
2020 also. All right, upcoming events calendar. Friday, December 31st, college football playoff semifinal games.
That's right. Next week we talk. We'll have a pair of teams in the championship
It's
game.
only like 3 days from now, this Friday. First of all, the Cotton Bowl. Number 1, Alabama versus number 4, Cincinnati. And later on that night, it's the Orange Bowl, number 2 Michigan versus number 3 Georgia. So a couple of great games that night. We're in the new year with some great college football. Saturday, January 8th, the FCS championship game, number 2 North Dakota State versus number 8 Montana State in Frisco, Texas. That game will be on ESPN2. Sunday, January 9th, the NFL regular season ends. Man, that's awfully late in the year with the 17-game schedule. Over 18, 19 weeks, whatever. Regular season ends on January 9th. Monday, January 10th, the FBS National Championship game in Indianapolis. Sunday, February 6th, the Pro Bowl game in Las Vegas. And on Sunday, February 13th, the Super Bowl, number 56, in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And that's it for our upcoming events. Anything else before we call this a show?
I don't believe so. Not really any breaking news that I've seen in terms of NFL stuff. We might have a final score in that bowl game that's going on right
Birmingham
now.
Bowl?
I can double check that, see if we got a final score or not.
Okay, yeah, 5 bowl games today. I
It's,
haven't seen any so far.
We're down to 2 minutes left in the game. You got Houston up 17-13. Auburn with the ball now, so...
Could be anybody's.
Could be a heck of a finish, and I can't wait to talk. Well, I don't know how in detail we'll get, but we'll have the final score on the next podcast.
Yep. All right.
That's it. That's the last show of 2021.
Yeah, really. Another great year. We've been doing this for what, four?
Too long.
Not quite 4.5 years, but over
Feels
4 years
like an
now.
eternity.
Yeah. And we're still learning
Apparently
how to do this. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address, if you want to email us, is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories and pictures as well as highlights and videos from all over the world of football. You can also follow our Twitter. The address is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every single Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so please go over there. If you could subscribe, leave us a like on any videos, check out some of the stuff we got. We're going to be posting not only the audio version of this podcast, but a history lesson that we did a while ago. We're going to catch up on maybe 1 or 2 of those. Whatever Randy really likes, we're going to try to get up, have some extra history lessons, some extra Christmas content, if you will, over our holiday break. So join us over there, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
Once again this year, we're doing our weekly NFL picks, but this year They're available exclusively on our YouTube channel, so look for them on Thursdays throughout the NFL season. And also, remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow, looking outside at the snow.
Jeez.
Gosh, for the last time in 2021.
It's really coming down right now.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Wish I had a working snow thrower.
Oh, well, that's what your hands are for.
Didn't I get you a new shovel for Christmas?
Shut up. I left it under the tree for a reason.
See you all next week.